wheeling guideline. Give me a second to share that. So we've got a very simplified wheeling guideline. Let me show you another one. So I want to, so we're gonna the last little bit of the day, and then the afternoon session is on tariffs, is to look at these wheeling guidelines. So if you remember in the steps to wheel process, having a sort of an overarching municipal wheeling guideline or policy framework, and Eskom's got the same, is useful because it gives your customers an idea of what the municipality's intentions are around wheeling, how you'll do it. Doesn't sort of go too deep into the specifics, but it just gives a guideline to customers that we intend to wheel. This is which customers can wheel, etc. So if you remember in the first few slides of Eskom's presentation, they were saying it's only available to customers on a certain voltage with a certain demand and on a certain time of use tariffs, etc. So those are the types of things we'd state in the guideline. So let's look at George Municipality's wheeling guideline. So it's short, it's just 10 pages. It's introductions, definitions, the scope, legal framework, wheeling scenarios, and then how to apply. So literally the first page is just an introduction saying this is the guideline. It shows customers how to wheel, or where they can apply, what the requirements are, provide some definitions of off-taker, then it's sort of a contents page. So it's really limited. It provides a legal and regulatory framework. So it says wheeling is allowed according to these rules. And I think now, with the updated wheeling rules, we want to explicitly say that the municipality is implementing wheeling in line with NERSA's wheeling rules. So let's add that. And then there's some scenarios. So George Municipality allowed these two scenarios. This was the two scenarios of wheeling that they will allow. And you remember in yesterday's presentation, I said the same. I said wheeling from an Eskom connected generator or wheeling from a local generator within the municipality. So those are the two options for wheeling in George, according to this guideline. And I suggest that we, for simplicity's sake, start off with that in your municipality. And there's an image, and we've used a very similar image for the template guideline. There's with a trader and without a trader. And so you can have a look at that. Here's the application process for if you want to wheel. This is how you apply as a customer. You apply to the municipality. And that's really that. Then in the annex, they provide some technical details. So they say the generator tariff, the generator connection agreements, the generator must be connected at 11 kV or higher. This is a decision you can make as a municipality, which, if it's a local generator, which voltage level they should be connected on, and that they need to have certain. So here's some more requirements. Connection size of the off-taker must be at least 100 kVA. So they want certain sort of sufficiently large off-takers. They don't want to allow wheeling to all low voltage customers and residential customers. And I guess this is just a case of administrative simplicity, because when you're sort of starting off with the wheeling pilot. And so you put these restrictions in place to sort of start phasing in wheeling, and then you sort of prove the concept, and then you can roll it out to more customers. Here's the tariffs that is allowed. Off-taker must be on tariff 2B or 3. And obviously these are time of use tariffs, because you generally want to allow wheeling to time of use tariff customers, because your credit mechanism will be on time of use, the WEPS credit that you receive. here they say explicitly it's a neutral tariff. It must be surplus neutral for the municipality. So they say that as a principle in their guideline. It will be averaged on 30-minute consumption. They were in the process of changing this to monthly time of use, same as how Eskom did it. We strongly recommend doing this on a monthly time of use basis and not doing the reconciliations every 30 minutes, because we saw the issues when there's load shedding and an off-taker can't consume. If you do it on a monthly time of use basis, which is the way Eskom's bills to the municipality are done, it allows, it's just a lot simpler to calculate, and it allows the off-taker to consume more wheeled energy, and it reduces the risk around load shedding, etc. So that's really it. So that's George Municipality's wheeling guidelines. So that's sort of what we want you to develop for your municipality by tomorrow, and walk away from this training with it doesn't have to be the final one. It's just something that you can go, and tomorrow afternoon you can send it to your head of department and you say, hey, at this training we did this. And then we can say, and then you can go and debate certain parts. You can highlight it yellow and say, do we want 11 kV or 66 kV? But once you've got something to start with, then you can debate it. But when you have nothing, then it's very intimidating to create something. So here's the template wheeling guideline. It's drawn, basically it's a combination of George Municipality's guideline and the Green Cape guideline that and I had shared yesterday. We just took what we thought were useful bits from each. So I've shared the link in the chat. So if everyone can click on that wheeling guideline, download it, you'll see it'll download a Word document. And then let's open it up. So can everyone just let us know once you've got this wheeling guideline open? And yeah, we can scroll through it together if you like. I'd love you to scroll through it on your side. Have a read. There the scenarios are drawn directly from George, as we've said. Wheeling, technical overview, licensing requirements, metering, who pays who, what the requirements are. Yeah, so that's really it. 12 pages. And I would like us to customize it together for your municipality now. There's a couple of places where we can make some changes. So if everyone is here and present, not physically, like mentally and focusing on this, we can get these guidelines done really quickly. And then the thing is, it's a working document. So as we have discussions tomorrow or later, you can come in here, add a comment, highlight something and change it. But we'd really like you to customize this. In the SSEG trainings, we do it all for you because we've got 5 days and a lot of a bigger team. But here we'd like you to do it together. So if everyone can open up this Word document, and then I can draw your attention to a couple of places. Obviously, the yellow highlights is where you need to add your municipality's name and logo. And then other than that, it's entirely sort of got populated with default values. So let's all go to page 6, which is the introduction. This just explains what wheeling is and why you'd like to wheel. So it says we are obliged by law to implement wheeling. It enables customers to procure renewable energy. They can mitigate against rising prices. That's the sort of background. I don't know if anyone has any comments on the introduction. If you do, please feel free to change yours. This is your document. So we'd really like it if you can customize this. Of course, we can do it for you, but I think that doesn't achieve the same sort of outcome. It's better if you do it yourself, because then you get familiar with it. So yeah, does anyone have any questions at this point on this guidelines? Or is anyone unsure about why we're doing this, or does it feel messy, or are we clear on what we're doing? We want to go through this slowly now for the next sort of half an hour and make sure that everyone's on board and understanding the different pieces of this wheeling guideline. If you have any questions, please feel free to raise or thoughts. Yeah, so that's the introduction. Maybe not much to say there. Legal and regulatory framework. So now this section definitely needs an update since the approval of these wheeling rules. So I wonder how, if each person, if you can include the update for your own municipality. To me, it would sit nicely here, sort of at the bottom of page 6. Enable editing. We can work on this tonight, and for those that are either not doing it or would like some help, we can develop it for you, but it would be a lot better if you can develop it yourself. Gosh, I might struggling. So that's where I suggest we include a section referencing nurses' wheeling rules. That just been approved. I'm really looking forward to seeing the final version of that. So we make reference to that. Yeah, and then that's really the legal and regulatory framework. It's the Electricity Regulation Act. So if please read this this portion of the document. The ERA states that a transmission and distribution licensee must provide non-discriminatory grid access. Of course, you can refuse access, but you need to explain why. And it can be financial, legal, technical conditions. There's no issue with putting conditions in place, such as generators must be connected at 11 kV. That was a condition that was put in place in George. That's totally fine as long as you have rationale for it. Or a financial condition about use of system charges must be paid. That's totally fine. We just need to explain that condition there. Yeah, so it says we are obliged to provide access, but we need to adhere to our license conditions. And then we're going to include reference to the wheeling rules of March 2025. Then there's additional requirements such as generator connection requirements, grid code approval, grid impact studies for local generators. Because wheeling is such a sort of accounting exercise, it's nice to separate the technical requirements for generator grid connection and the sort of administrative and accounting financial parts about implementing the wheeling. The bottom line is that generators need to get approval to connect to the grid, irrespective of whether they're wheeling or selling an IPP program or whatever they're doing. And once they're connected to the grid, then they can come and we can implement this on the more sort of accounting side. Yeah, so that's the legal background. The next section is the wheeling scenarios. We've included, so these are the two scenarios that we've included here, and it says the municipality is facilitating the following two. Scenario 3 is included. This is when a generator is connected to the municipal grid, wheeling up to an Eskom connected off-taker or up to another municipality. We say this is included for completeness, but there's no mechanism currently to do this. It's not possible right now to wheel from a municipal generator up to an Eskom off-taker. Eskom hasn't created well, there's no demand for it. As I understand, there hasn't been a request to do that. There are, of course, generators wheeling from municipalities out into Eskom grid, such as in Makana and Grahamstown. There's the Reap wind farm on the hill that is connected to the municipality's grid and wheels into Eskom's grid, but that's a sort of unique agreement between Eskom and the municipality, and they do it on the same WEPS credit mechanism that we do elsewhere. But that's a very specific example. Yeah, and then these two scenarios are illustrated here. and the supply the agreements that need to be in place are listed. This might be something worth thinking about. There have been, I remember there was one specific comment on nurses' wheeling rules saying that we shouldn't explicitly state which agreements are needed, because you then sort of create restrictions for yourself, whereas a specific wheeling sort of arrangement might have different agreements. So one idea might be to remove this mention of agreements and simplify the diagram below. But generally, I think this is probably fine. And the following agreements are required. I don't know if people are interested in these agreements, and if you want to understand the different agreements required. Like we said, the wheeling agreements is almost like from 6 months into your wheeling process, 12 months in, once you start having one specific customer very interested in wheeling, then you kind of figure out those details when the time comes. You can also spend some time going through this, and if anyone has specific questions on the agreements, please raise your hand and let us know. Otherwise, we won't go into the details. But basically, there's the two amended supply agreements, and the amended supply agreements are, you've got supply agreement with Eskom and you've got a supply agreement with your off-taker. Now you amend it, and all you say in that amendment is to say that you reflect this credit mechanism, so that credits will be applied for wheeled energy. And then there's obviously this PPA, which is a power purchase agreement between offtake and a generator, but that's sort of outside the scope of the municipal interest. And then there's a use of system or connection agreement, or connection and use of system agreement between the generator and Eskom in this case, because this generator is connected to Eskom. So that's also outside the scope of the municipality. In this example, where there's a municipal connected generator, here the generator is connecting to our municipal grid locally and wheeling to another off-taker in our municipal grid. Here we'll need the use of system and the connection agreement with the generator, between the generator and the municipality, to reflect the wheeled energy and the rules around that. And again, there's templates on the Western Cape government. So yeah, this guideline is just to say that these two scenarios are possible. The municipality is entertaining the idea of implementing this. And yeah. Then there's some technical overview, and this is where you as a municipality can start making some decisions around who you will allow to wheel. Well, first of all, this is just a section on licensing. This is nurses' licensing process. This is just for interest's sake for the generators, who requires nurse registration and who requires nurse licensing. Then there's a piece on the metering, saying that the AMI metering is required at the off-taker's connection point and time of use, most likely. Well, this is in wheeling tariffs. Here we explain how the reconciliation is done. So we explain that credit method. Please read that and ask questions if anyone has. And then we say any payments that might be due. So installation of meters, that's at the customer's cost. Connection charges, if there's new connections for the generator. Network impact studies, this is if a generator wants to connect, and any upgrades required, so the whole sort of self-build process, and any other costs associated. So basically, yeah, you're just saying that the customer is due to the following costs. And then, okay, so I said I jumped the gun earlier. Wheeling requirements, this is the main part. So everything up till now is pretty generic. Yeah, everything up to now is almost entirely generic. This is the only part. So here, what we state here, you see we mention in section 4.3, we talk about wheeling credits. So if you will be implementing the wheeling credit method, as Frans from Ekurhuleni will explain to us tomorrow, the way they've done it, and that's the way we recommend. It's the simplest way of doing it. George is doing it the same way. Eskom does it like that, this whole WEP's credit method that we've spoken about this morning. If you're doing the credit method, then this is perfectly fine the way it is. City of Cape Town does it slightly different. They don't do it by a credit method, and maybe I'll show a couple of slides now to illustrate the difference between the credit method and the use of system tariff method. So if you didn't do the use of system tariff method, which requires a new tariff, then you need to change this section 4.3. And then, yeah, so section 5 is wheeling requirements. So this is where we said, this is where you say, what are the limits? So we've left George municipalities as is. Generated must be connected at 11 kV. If you feel comfortable with something else, please feel free to change it. Only NERSA allowed generators will be allowed to wheel. I think that makes sense. A limit on total capacity. Yeah, we haven't stated what it is here, but what this is saying is that we might limit wheeling at a certain point to ensure the competitive. Yeah, yeah. It's similarly here. It's basically this is sort of allowing the municipality to limit wheeling at some point. If it becomes like it's taking over the whole municipality in future, this is a placeholder to say we might limit. So either the total wheeling capacity or the capacity per applicant. You might say a certain customer can only limit wheel 50 or 80% or 1 MVA, or you might add some limit. Minimum connection size. Here we've said that the off-taker should be connected on medium voltage. Again, this is for that administrative simplicity. We've said here the municipality will draw on the template set of agreements currently under development. I must change currently under development to developed by, and then maybe we even add a link. So the contractual agreements, revenue neutrality, we state there, surplus, and we explain cost minus revenue minus cost savings, so surplus neutral. And then the billing reconciliation period, we've suggested here that we do this on a monthly time of use basis. Again, that's totally up to you to change. And then the final step is the remaining steps to wheel. So we say that the municipality, the following steps are still underway. We need internal approval. We need council approval of this wheeling guideline. We might need to finalize the agreements and then update the billing system. Again, you can change these remaining steps to wheel in line with what you as a municipality need to do. And then we provide references and links to customers. And I think I want to add more links, add the Western Cape government's wheeling template agreements here as a critical reference. Yeah. So this guideline is actually going to be improved slightly here from this discussion. Oh gosh, I need to change that. Yeah, so that's the guideline. This maybe what's best is, I don't know, hopefully people have had a chance to look at it now. And what I'm going to suggest is that we leave the guideline discussion here now. Nick and I update the guideline this afternoon, and then tomorrow we come back with a updated guideline reflecting these changes that we've just highlighted, and then we'll circulate the updated guideline tomorrow, and then tomorrow you customize. So if you've started customizing it and added your municipality name and stuff, maybe you can stop, because I'm sorry I sent you down that rabbit hole of doing it, but I'm just realizing that there's some important changes we should make to this template guideline before you go and update and customize it to your municipality logo, etc. So, and I'll add these highlights where there's important places where you may want to consider customizing it according to your decision. So, so let's stop on the guideline now. We'll update it this afternoon, and then tomorrow we've got some time for everyone to customize the guideline. And I think what will be really, really nice is if everyone can finish tomorrow by 12 o'clock with a guideline customized for your municipality. That'll be really nice if everyone can walk away from the training with that. So yeah, so that's a quick overview of the guideline. Wheeling guidelines, or you can call it sort of wheeling agreement or policy. It really, as we understand it, the wheeling framework, wheeling policy, it's all the same thing. We just call it wheeling guideline because it feels less binding, and then it sort of it comforts people to go ahead and actually do it. If we call this a wheeling policy, then people are all of a sudden like, oh no, I'm not the person to do the wheeling policy, but actually we are. There's no one else in the municipalities in a position to do this. So let's create these wheeling guidelines tomorrow. Okay, I'm going to stop there. I think we should leave that guideline because it needs a bit of updating. Then so this afternoon, we're going to go through, let me show you quickly. So I populated this model for Umhlatuzi because I saw there was a lot of Umhlatuzi people coming, and I thought we need to get wheeling there. But I'm going to just quickly show you this, and then I'm not going to go through it in any detail. This is this afternoon session. So this is just a teaser for this afternoon. And then I want to come and explain some of the use of system details of the tariffs. If you missed it yesterday, we just touched on it on a high level, and then Eskom explained some things today, and maybe some people are confused. So I want to just go into the details. This is a wheeling revenue impact model that the Western Cape government funded and we developed, and I think it's really cool. Basically, it allows you to calculate with your municipal tariffs, your Eskom purchase tariffs, a given set of solar or wind generators. It calculates the impact of wheeling on your municipal revenue, and it allows those two scenarios that we've been describing. So there's an input sheet where you put in your municipality name. So I've done this here for Umhlatuzi. You put in your off-taker. So you choose a tariff. So you choose one of your municipal tariffs. I chose Umhlatuzi's Enerflex 400 kV tariff. Then you put in your municipality, your purchase prices, so your Megaflex prices. I assume that Umhlatuzi is on that Megaflex purchase price. And then it calculates your wheeling use of system charges. And we add the off-taker's consumption. How big is this customer? I've said it's 1,000 megawatt hours per year. Then we say what sector it's in for a load profile. To calculate the business case for wheeling. So this model does two things. It calculates the impact on the municipal revenue, but it also calculates how viable is wheeling for the off-takers. And so you put in a PPA price. So I've said, the PPA price, the power purchase agreement price is R1 a kilowatt hour. It's quite low. It's probably more like R1.10. The traders are selling wheeled energy at like around 10 to somewhere between around 10 and around 30 for solar power, and slightly cheaper for wind. And then you say how big, how much energy is it buying? Where's the solar PV plant? I've said it's in Graafrenet. Anyway, we're going to go through this afternoon. Then it calculates these are the results. There's a whole lot of calculations in the background, but it does three things. It says, first of all, what's the municipal revenue impact? So we look at these different scenarios and we say, this is the impact on municipalities' revenue. Second thing is it says for the generator, so for a generator to build and wheel at that PPA price, what's the business case? And it calculates it there. On my tariffs, it's not looking very good here for generators to build. They're only seeing a rate of return of 4% and payback period 12 years. So something's dodgy in my generator inputs. And then the off-taker business case. So why is there anything in this whole thing for customers? Do they want to do this? What's in it for them? So it looks at those three perspectives: the generator, the off-taker, and the municipality. And then it goes into some detailed billing, how a bill would look like before wheeling, from the municipality to the customer, what the municipality's bill from Eskom will look like before wheeling. And then after wheeling, we have the bill from the municipality to the customer, and we have the bill from Eskom to the municipality after wheeling. And we look at revenue before wheeling, revenue after wheeling, and change in revenue. So that's 2:00 session. So if people are keen to populate that and calculate the revenue impacts, please join us at 2 and bring your tariff book. Otherwise, we can find your tariff book online, and we'll find your Eskom book online too. Okay. So I wanted to go into some of the details here and sort of recap what the Eskom people said. So, I mean, maybe I should just pause. I'm just going on here. Oopsie. Does anyone have questions? Please, if you have thoughts, let us know so I can, before I jump into some more. Yeah, hi, Nelisiwe.
Hi, George. Thank you. I was just wondering, when is it stopping? Because you were just going there to the next thing, and I have a burning
No, I
question
must
just
stop.
around.
I must stop.
Sure,
Sorry.
sure. I just have a burning question just around. I know we in the conversation of wheeling and traditional wheeling, that is.
Yeah.
But will you be at some point touching on the virtual wheeling, educating us a little bit on that? And the guideline that you showed earlier on, would it still be applicable for virtual wheeling, or would that mean a completely different thing altogether?
Yeah, thanks, Nelisiwe. Yeah, I'm not sure. Virtual wheelings kind of seems to have gone a little bit quiet with this mention of portfolio wheeling. I'm not sure if anyone in the room has an update on virtual wheeling. I don't know if any of the Eskom colleagues are still here. I mean, the principles are the same. Hi, Badnard, thank you.
Yeah, I mean, I can only report back on what we've heard. So it's supposed to be something that's going live within the next month or so. So
Great.
theoretically, that should happen. Obviously, there's some things that can make it delayed. And basically, what it does is Eskom would be supporting a transaction where they handle all of the admin for people that are located on the inside municipalities. There's some complications that come with it. Those complications are being unpacked in some documentation and how-to guides that are being developed. I think Green Cape are involved, and there's some other people involved. That should come out in April, along with the live bit of it. But it is definitely a mechanism that the municipality wouldn't need to do anything, and theoretically might not even know that there's wheeling happening to the end customer, would have zero impact on municipal revenue, except for the fact that your end customer would be getting potentially slightly cheaper power, and therefore have some ability to expand their facilities, which then obviously has a positive impact on municipal revenue. So lots of information that's expected to come out in the next month or so, and it is an exciting development. Thanks.
Yeah, thanks, Badnard. That's really useful. Yeah, Nancy, I don't know if you want to add.
So sorry, has there been any, call it like proof of concepts that have been done so far, or is it just all conceptual at this stage?
Yeah, there's been some pilots that have been running. I'm not sure of the success or not success of the pilots. The famous one would be the Vodacom and is it mezzanine one? But yeah, it's something that has been running and has been working up to now. But obviously, when you go to scale, there's quite a few extra things that need to happen, and that's the things that we'll see in April.
Okay, great. No, thank you very much, Bernard, for that. And lastly, I just wanted to understand in terms of the various municipalities, Josh, are you able to give us or will you be giving us an overview of the status quo of municipalities in as far as wheeling agreements are concerned, where they are, and maybe it will also open up an opportunity for other municipalities to learn from others. Yes, we do know with the likes of City of Cape Town, they've advanced quite ahead. But maybe other municipalities are doing something as well. It's just not yet at the point where, it's public knowledge. But do you have maybe insight of the status quo for the various municipalities? Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Nusiwe. And thanks, Badnard, for those comments on virtual wheeling. Yeah, so I mean, I think bottom line is that virtual wheeling is quite similar to existing wheeling. It's just less administrative for the municipality, but same principle, same financial impact, same benefits. So yeah, so I think sort of this guideline doesn't explicitly accommodate for virtual wheeling. Yeah, so but maybe that's something we should add, or something we should keep our ears open for as the sort of in the next month or two things start getting finalized. And then in terms of progress among municipalities, the only sort of public documentation on this is SALGA's status of wheeling report. I don't know if you've seen this or people have seen this. We sort of made reference to it yesterday. This is the document here. Wheeling in South African municipalities, overview and status of progress. It is, like 18 months old now, so due for an update. But towards the end here, there's a municipal progress to date piece where it says, Nelson Mandela Bay, what they've done. So 2.5% of the energy then was being wheeled. George Municipality, City of Cape Town, and City of Ekurhuleni. Those were the 4 that had made sturdy progress at that point. And there were a couple of others, B2, City Power, eThekwini, Umhlathuze, Msunduzi, Ostrans there. So those had made a start, had developed a policy or had tried to table it at council or a draft guideline or something. So that was the progress then. There's of course been a little bit more progress, but not major amounts of progress since then. So yeah, so that's sort of the picture as I see it. There are others who've started making progress, but from what I understand, those are the only 4 that are really wheeling. Or Ekurhuleni is actually only about to wheel. So only these 3 that are really actively wheeling. And many others are sort of at various stages of getting there. I don't know if anyone on the call wants to correct me or say, hang on, our municipality is also wheeling and we're not on this list. It would be great to hear about. Yeah. Hi, Valentine.
Yeah, George, I just want to add to your comment. Really progress a bit slow, but what I know is that this year we managed to provide about 33 municipalities with draft wheeling framework. So we are expecting that by the end of this year, those municipalities should be in a position to implement wheeling in their municipalities. So yeah, that is just what I wanted to add from our side.
Who did what? Wait, I didn't catch that totally, Valentine. 33 municipalities.
Yeah, we've been able to provide 33 municipalities with draft wheeling framework, just like the one we're sharing now. Yeah.
Was that Cogta's
The
work?
wheeling guidelines, yeah.
Okay. Did you do that, Valentine, or was it Cogta? Who did you say?
Yeah, Cogta.
Okay. Where can we see these? That's huge. Okay. And which municipalities are there? It'd be great to see that.
Yeah, I kind of have all the names in my head, but I know of Lipalale, Supalikwa, Makana, Elias Motsoledi, and a whole lot of them that we workshop them through the wheeling framework, and then we gave them an action plan on how to go about customizing it. Yeah, so we expect that as COP platform by the end of this year, they should be in a position to implement wheeling.
Okay, hopefully some of the people are here. Or, did you draw on the Western Cape government's toolkit, or what resources did you use?
Yes, we use these ones that you presented now, and some other additional municipal information.
Okay, fantastic. That's great to hear. Thank you. Right. Hi, Rendani.
Hi, George. I'm Rendani Makungo from Stellenbosch Municipality. So Green Cape has been assisting us as well. So we do have the draft wheeling guideline. So we are getting everything set up. Hopefully we can start. We have 2 customers who are interested in wheeling. Yeah. So they're also finalizing their PPAs on the site. So hopefully we can start by 1st of July.
Excellent. Yeah, no, we've noted Stellenbosch there at the bottom here. But that's great to hear, Rendani. You guys are doing fantastically. So you say you're going to be wheeling on 1st of July.
That's the plan. If all goes
Okay.
well. Yeah.
And can I ask, are those generators connected to your municipal grid, or is it ESCOM connected generators?
I am not sure because we haven't went into detail to the agreements because we haven't finalized things on our side. But I
Okay.
think one is ESCOM and one is the municipal grid.
Okay, fantastic. Okay, and I know you were having issues with the whole. Hey, Mark, I don't know if you want to add. I saw your name pop up now. Or no, maybe I'm jumping the gun. But I know you were having issues with the amending your supply agreement with ESCOM. I assume that that's been sorted.
It's not sorted. We are finalizing that. The main issue was the deposit, but
Yes.
we pay them on a monthly basis, so we're gonna pay over a 12 months period.
Okay,
But
you're going to pay your deposit over 12 months.
Yeah, so we started in January, so now we are finalizing the amendment, the
Okay,
agreement with ESCOM. Yeah.
that's fantastic to hear, Indani. Thank you. Thanks for that update. I don't know if anyone has any questions on that, or if we all clear on yeah, that's great to hear, Indani, and very exciting. We'll add you in the Selga will have to add you in the next version of this report as actively wheeling. Yeah, that's great news. Thanks for that update, Indani. Yeah. Okay, yeah. So does anyone have any other questions, I think, on the sort of wheeling guideline that we've discussed, or is it time to are people, maybe we can just hear from you. I've got some more slides on this sort of whole billing thing, the credit versus the explicit. I don't know if we want to go into that, or if any people have any other questions or thoughts. Yeah, hi Hilton.
Morning to you, Josh, and morning to everyone else in the virtual room. No, just going back to your guidelines,
Yeah.
It seems to be a new thing for ESCOM, and it's, I don't want to talk on behalf of the municipality, but because we haven't really concluded on which direction we're going in terms of these wheeling agreements, but we definitely are moving ahead. Because of the volume of electricity that we take and the number of large customers, the notion of going to individual off-takers is not as appealing as aggregating, so that the municipality be the only off-taker. So your guidelines, I was just wondering, just going through them, and you were talking and moving through them. It was the first time I was reading them, so it wasn't I didn't have enough time to really absorb the contents. But it would be nice to get an idea, because it's another new concept. Yet another. We haven't even got into wheeling, and now we're talking about new concepts. This aggregation of generators, either through an agent or trader, the guidelines themselves. So that scenario that wasn't in those three scenarios that you had, one of 3 or 2 scenarios. I just want to know to what extent that would affect your guideline, because from our side, that's why I don't want to talk on behalf of the whole municipality, because we at the beginning of this. But what would it be significant changes to the guideline in that scenario?
It's a good point. The point of adding like a trader, as explicitly mentioning traders in the guideline, I think it's probably worth doing. There are a lot of traders, and it's growing in popularity. As I understand, I don't know if there's any of the ESCOM colleagues who can contribute to the discussion here about how traders operate on ESCOM's grid. But as I understand it, so it depends, your use of system agreement is normally between the generator who puts the electricity into the grid and the municipality, whereas when you have a trader, the trader signs the use of system agreement with the the municipality instead of it being with the generator, because the trader is the one that's using the municipal grid effectively. They own the electricity from meter to meter. That's how I understand it. I think that's how George's Wheeling guideline explicitly speaks to the trader and the difference in the agreements. So it's probably worth us adding that, because traders are growing in popularity. And yeah, I don't know if anyone else has anything to add on that. But it's tight. It might be a busy evening for Nick and I, but we can cross-check between the guidelines that are around and how they make mention of traders, and see if we can update our template guideline to add the traders into the scenarios. It shouldn't be too much work, so we'll try and do that by tomorrow morning, Hilton, and share that updated guideline. But yeah, I don't know if anyone else has any comments on how traders are to be handled, France or any of the Eskom colleagues, about if you've, I'm sure you've engaged with traders, but yeah, that's how I understand it, Hilton.
If no one else is going to add it, just one word from a municipal perspective. the word trader on its own just sounds not too palatable. Because of you need sort of certainty of the relationship and the legality. The word trader just sounds too speculative. Sort of a tongue-in-cheek comment regarding that word, but agent, aggregator, something else would probably sound better than the word trader. But yeah, that definitely seems to be something more appetizing, because you would by default have more security of supply. You would default have scale. You would by default reduce the risk of having short-term agreements. You could go into longer-term agreements. So there'll be a lot more certainty in doing this thing on scale than doing it in little bits and pieces.
Yeah, thanks, Hilton. Yeah, you did right. Hi, France.
Josh, I think the word trader will stuck with us, simply because it is written in the ERA as a trader. But I like the way that Eskom has actually, brought it about, where I just need to go back to what the note was, is there that it's a consolidated allocation, So maybe that is a better word. But look, the thing is, there's a huge interest in it from traders that, and I think most of them were basically holding on to the wheeling rules, approval, because in my presentation, I'll give you some background yesterday, but just in short, is that, we got the wheeling approval, and then, and as I said, they're not approving until it's, the wheeling guidelines or the wheeling policy or the rules are in place. And so, but there's been a lot of interest from the traders or the consolidated allocators. And so, yeah, it's definitely going to probably go ahead once these rules are, published. And now that, NASA will be in a position to approve it. So, yeah, like we said, with the cost of supply, etc. So now definitely it is going to happen. And it all depends on how we want to relate it. Do we want to relate it to the ERA and call them a trader, or do we want to give a nice new name as a consolidated agent? It's fine.
Yeah, thanks, France. Does Ekurhuleni have a wheeling guideline, and does it explicitly make mention of traders?
We've got a policy already
Yeah.
in place. Yeah. So we don't really refer to it as a guideline. I think our policy, like you say, it's an interchangeable word. Tariff policy, guideline, or whatever. So yeah, no, we do have it, and we do make mention of the traders there as well.
Okay, I'll have a look at that tonight, and we'll share how that looks and how the George one uses it, and see if we want to update the guideline to make mention of traders. So thanks, Hilton.
Okay.
Yeah, so I see we're racing towards 12 o'clock here. And I haven't gone through this detailed sort of billing exercise, but maybe that's okay. And we can for those who are joining on the tariff working session 2 to 4 this afternoon, we'll start with this, and then we'll go into the populating the spreadsheet with your tariffs, your Eskom purchase costs, and calculating the business case for wheeling and the revenue impact of wheeling. So yeah, so let's save it for then. Does anyone have anything you'd like to share before we close? I think we're gonna circulate. I think Bernard's also sent some nice links in the chat here about virtual wheeling, so thanks for that. So let's Nick, let's add that into our email we send around, and then we'll circulate the nurses draft rules. We'll circulate Eskom's presentation. I think that was really good, a nice deep dive, and then we'll also share the recording by email on this morning's session. I think that recording of Eskom's session will be a very useful resource to refer back to. And then so for those joining the optional session at 2 p.m., hopefully everyone's got the link. If you don't, just let us know in the chat if there's any issues. Otherwise, we'll see those at 2 p.m. to get stuck into the spreadsheet. And for the rest, we'll see you tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. We're starting at 9 a.m. tomorrow. Let me show you. Let me just review. Yeah, okay, so I'm not sharing my screen, but at 9 a.m. tomorrow, we're starting straight away with France from Ekurhuleni, where Ekurhuleni is a nice case study because they've been doing all this wheeling work kind of together with this program. So it's not like Cape Town or Nelson Mandela Bay that's kind of done it on their own. France has been here, and Hendrik Raideni, we've been doing this all together as a team. So it's really nice to look under the hood there and see what's happening. So France, I'm really looking forward to hearing an update on your wheeling process. And then tomorrow, I think obviously we'll do the tariff session this afternoon, but I think tomorrow it'd be really good to have everyone walk away with a draft guideline customized for your municipality. So Nick and I are going to work on the guideline this afternoon, add trader, update it with this wheeling rules, update it with a couple of bits as we've seen, and then we'll share the updated template guideline tomorrow morning at 10, and then you've got from 10 to 12 to get everyone to have customized and be familiar with your guideline, and then you can take that forward in your municipalities. And yeah, that's sort of the plan for tomorrow morning and this afternoon. So does anyone have any questions, or are we covered? Yeah, thanks so much for an interesting morning. It's been nice getting back into wheeling. I've been out of it for a couple of months, and yeah, there's a lot happening. So it's really nice to discuss and think about, and amazing to see how rapidly it's growing on Eskom's grid. Yeah, so just a last chance for any inputs or thoughts. Otherwise, we are done for now, and we'll see those who are joining at 2. Hi, Audrey. I see. Great. I see you've already been working on a draft guideline. That's fantastic. I'm looking forward to seeing that. Maybe we can share some comments on that or something. See if there's places where it might be worth updating. Yeah, so after we've customized everyone's guideline tomorrow, it'd be really nice if you can share it with us so that we can, yeah, have a look and share comments or something along those lines. Yeah, so that's that for this morning. Thanks so much, everyone. If no one else has any comments, then we can close. And I really implore you to get stuck in. Wheeling is booming. Like, wheeling is really relevant.